Hello, Kaveh and everybody. I'm so excited that we're finally starting to do these 5-minute nuggets of our life experience with what I have learned from Kaveh over the years and have helped me tremendously. So I didn't want all this good information to just stay in my heart. I wanted to share it. Um, and personal experiences is like gold to me, and that's what we want to share with you in these nuggets coming up. Okay,
Thank you.
Kaveh.
Yeah, that's great. I think, like you said, personal experiences, wisdom, the things that we've earned the hard way, going through difficult things in life. And so, what we're doing is mapping out life through different kinds of ideas, mental models, diagrams, and explanations for how the personal experience works. Like, for instance, you said today we're going to talk about competence. So, I'll let you introduce that idea.
Yes. So there's a concept about that says 4 stages of competence. The first stage is unconscious incompetence, means we have a problem, but we're not aware of it. For example, maybe I just get totally upset and angry if someone doesn't do things my way, and I just, lash out.
So, we can
So
call that
then,
being like easily triggered or something like that.
yeah, okay. So that's like, I'm that way, and I'm not aware that it's a problem. So it's unconscious incompetence. Then either I discover by myself or somebody points out to me that this is not serving me or anybody around me to be this way. And I say, oh, yeah, you're right. Or you accept it as a suggestion, and that becomes conscious incompetence. So now I'm aware of it, but I
And so,
still
to
do it.
clarify, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, to clarify, what
Mhm.
is the competence in this case?
Competence is like if something doesn't go my way, to find a better way to deal with it than lashing out.
Right. So lashing out could be a guilt trip or a temper tantrum or pouting or passive aggression. We can list all the different ways of lashing out. And you're saying that to move up this ladder that you're going to describe to us would be to have more sophisticated and mature options, emotional and mental and social options for how to respond when you're disappointed with someone else's behavior.
Very good. Yes, yes. So then the third stage is conscious competence. Means now I have figured out how to hold myself back. Even though inside of me I want to lash out, I'm able to, just hold it in. Okay, that's conscious competence. Like from outside, it looks like I am, behaving, but inside I'm still, that the feeling is still there, the emotion is there, the drive to lash out is still there. But I kind of stop myself. So that's the third stage. And then the fourth stage is unconscious competence, meaning with the help of different tools, rewiring my brain, having a shift inside of me, so many different things can help me to get to a point where I don't even feel that urge of, you know, uh, guilt tripping or yelling back, or, I call it lashing out. So that's possible to get there. And in different topics of incompetence, I call it incompetence, I have experienced getting there to the fourth, but there's a lot more that I want to, I'm either at stage one or stage two. So that's something we want to work on and have fun doing it.
Yeah. And to finish up this first nugget, the introductory nugget to this whole idea, I want to suggest that it could be that these are two separate competences. The outer display of equanimity is one competence that itself could become embodied or unconscious or intuitive. And the internal sense of equipoise is a separate competence. that these two competences of external display of peace and internal actual experience of peace are two separate competences that could track in parallel or could happen separately. So that even the idea of showing other people that you are okay could become something that you do subconsciously, even if internally you're not okay.
Hmm.
Does that track for you?
For now, I see that as being a stage 3 because I'm kind of, it's still inside of me. I'm not equanimous. So, yeah.
So the idea of stage 3 is that you're consciously accomplishing something.
Okay.
You're
Yes.
consciously exerting effort to make something happen.
Yes.
And what I'm suggesting is that there's two things that you could be consciously making happen. One is internal equanimity, and the other is external display of being okay. Those are two separate competences
Hmm.
that you could be at stage 1, 2, 3, or 4, 4. That those are
Okay.
two separate competences. One is internal regulation, and the second one is external displays of me being okay. So in the
Okay.
case of having the second one of the external display, but not having the internal one, that would be someone who is totally accustomed to hiding their true feelings.
Well, being able to do that to me is not a competence. Is not a good thing.
Still a competence. I have to argue that it is a competence to be able to hide your feelings for the sake of um, uh, keeping up appearances.
Hmm.
That's a pretty sophisticated
It is.
neurological, social, psychological thing. Denial is actually a competence. Lying is a competence.
Hmm.
Right? Deceiving someone is a skill. Not everyone can deceive.
Okay, well, I'm not after that kind of competence.
Yeah, but you might still develop it even if you're not after it. You might subconsciously or unconsciously develop the ability to deceive in order to survive or self-preserve the way many people learn to do as children. Hide from their parents, hide from their teachers, hide from
Hmm.
their friends, the things that they're ashamed of, the thoughts and feelings and insecurities that they're ashamed of, like anger, sadness, and fear.
Hmm.
So there's one competence, which is hiding from others what you're actually feeling. And that can become very subconscious for many people. That can become it can become unconscious competence for many people. So that's the one. And the other one is the internal, authentic processing or digestion of the insecurity or the experience of being easily triggered. The first one is more primitive. The lying and deception is more primitive, and I think it's much more common actually for people to pretend they're okay when they're not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Most often we just stop at level 3. That's what I still call level 3 conscious competence.
Well,
What you are describing. Yeah.
consider someone who doesn't even hide their anger, who gets triggered and then lashes out, who can't even hide their they're still at level 1
They
because
are.
they have an unconscious incompetence of not even being able to deceive or to hide their negative, shameful, even arguably disgraceful feelings. Right?
Exactly.
If an adult is being a crybaby and they don't even realize that that's socially unacceptable and they can't even hide their temper tantrums, that's a form of unconscious incompetence
I agree.
until the point they realize, well, I should probably not be so gratuitous I should not be so indulgent in my expression of discontent with my social circle or with my family or with my professional circle.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I didn't keep track of time, but I'm sure we have passed the 5 minutes already. Uh, but the reason I brought this up as the beginning of the introduction is to say that you have helped me go from stage 1 to stage 2 that as a first step. And I want to, and then in our next session or future sessions, have some, personal examples specifically
So it's
when you
juicy.
have,
So that's going to be the next. So they should watch the next video if they want to
yeah,
hear about these great personal examples, right?
right. And the
All right.
progression on these stages. Yeah.
And then for them to role model, use you and me as role models as we tell stories of times that we went from what the competence is that we realized, oh my God, I'm not being the kind of person that I could be. I could become a
Exactly.
better person. I could feel better. Others could feel better. And
Hmm.
that there's a specific competence associated with that improvement in the quality of experience, either the quality of my experience or someone else's.
That's right. And so another example of incompetence is tolerating too much, like being
Exactly.
right. That's because I used the example of lashing out, but the opposite side of it is like tolerating too much and just, taking everything in and not doing anything about it. That's an incompetence. So
Exactly. And what's the corresponding competence?
learning to, first of all, uh, realize that something's wrong and that it shouldn't be tolerated, what should be tolerated, what shouldn't be, right? Have a good judgment for that. And then the ones that shouldn't be tolerated, how to lovingly bring up to whoever this situation arose, to um, work through it rather than just be quiet and let it
Yeah, it sounds like you're talking
continue.
about negotiation, setting boundaries, negotiating, bargaining, actually expecting something from the counterparty also, rather than continuing to think that it's just you who should continue to take on burdens.
Yeah, and do it respectfully so that it works. Otherwise, it doesn't. I mean, they're to learn how to do it so that it's effective, basically.
Love it. Okay, so stay tuned. Click next video for the juicy personal examples of how we're getting better at these very central core competences in our social life.